somebody's got to fight.
Yeah.
These property taxes are just ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, just totally ridiculous. And we may have Marvin Towns call in today. I hope so. They have a new Thanksgiving movie coming out, Son of a Preacher. And if Marvin calls in, then make sure you take care of Marvin as well.
Gotcha,
but you sure were down there at the county board for the tax protest, weren't you?
Yes, Dad. So let's just reset real quick with the show here. So you got Rickey Jr., you got Rickey Sr. on the line with you here today. And so we're both going to be here talking about a lot of the issues. But the biggest one here happening locally in the city of Chicago is the Cook County taxes that people are dealing with. So that's what he was talking about. You know, we were both at City Hall, at the Cook County Assessor's Office. And so we're going to talk to you all about that experience, because what a lot of people are going through right now, the shock with some of these numbers that we saw, Dad, are absolutely insane. Ooh. If you go to my father's Facebook page, he has a picture up of somebody whose property taxes were about, what, $1,500 last year, and they're about $10,000 this year. Dad, is that correct?
Yeah, $10,046 up from $1,700.
Wow.
And they had another bill. They showed me both of their bills. They had another property, and it went up about $5,000. We had people on the west side, property taxes went up 133%. And in Inglewood, it's just ridiculous. So, yeah, I definitely want to talk about that. And then if people may want to talk about the pivot that they see Donald Trump is making right now, where he's trying to pivot to the middle. And, you know, he met with the new mayor of New York City, Mandami, and saying all these about it. Well, he was just calling them a communist, and, you know, New York's going to fall off the face of the earth if he gets elected.
It's amazing.
But now Trump is in trouble. He sees his numbers. He sees where his people are like, dude, we got to do something different. But people shouldn't be fooled by, you know, the new Trump, because we're about to see a new Trump.
Yeah.
And it's fake Trump.
Yeah, let's talk about that too. And there's quite a few topics I want to talk about. I got a couple of things listed here, and I'll also give out the listener number here shortly. But you have that, obviously, and then as a result of a lot of the other Trump action, you have Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning, right? You have the Epstein files. That was still this week. It feels like it was forever ago, but that was recent as well. You know, that being voted on. You had Trump calling for, I hate to say it, but this is what he said, the hanging of Democratic politicians. And you had Alyssa Slotkin's house, you know, get bomb threats. We could talk about that. There's a lot, and things just continue to happen so fast. It's very easy to forget about, you know, some of these major things that have happened. But if you want to be a part of the conversation with us here on WCPT 820 AM, feel free to call in. It's one of the best things that we enjoy about being on the radio, that you all can be a part of this conversation with us, and we welcome it. But the listener call-in number is 773-763-9278. Again, 773-763-9278. And one more time, in case you didn't get it, 773-763-9278. So we'll start with the local stuff, Dad, and we'll get to the national stuff. But let's talk about these property taxes. And, where do you even want to begin with this?
Well, we want people to call in. We also want people to go to our Facebook page and get the information. We took people down there on Thursday, and a lot of people just don't believe you can get a break. You can't fight City Hall. Well, we got people deductions on Thursday, more than just a few people. People were down there. We got them deductions for a variety of reasons. Got the taxes lowered. If you fight, you win. If you don't fight, you ain't got no chance.
Right.
So
yeah,
we're going to go back this week. I did say on Facebook Tuesday, but it's going to depend on my health and how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Some people know I'm not. I had surgery about 3 weeks ago now, and I'm ahead of, praise God, I'm ahead of schedule, but the doctors still want me to take it easy a little bit. So, but people can go to the office on the third floor.
Yeah.
Use my name. Tell them Rickey Hendon or Rickey them sent you. Rickey or Rickey sent you. And the office is looking for people that are sent by us, looking for me to come back. And we're going to have one out in the neighborhood with John Harrell, Don't have a date on that yet. John, they're still doing Thanksgiving food giveaways. Right now, I think they're at Kennedy College right now. But we're going to have one, and we will announce that as well. But people should get their tax bill and take it with them. Sometimes there's an exemption you can get. There's also a certificate of errors. We got people certificate of errors on Thursday. We got people exemptions on Thursday. And I got to say, the assessor's office was very cooperative, as was Maria Pappas from the treasurer's office. Right. So I just want people to get out there, get your tax bill, and don't be afraid to go down there and fight.
Yeah.
And if you're scared to fight, just let us know. Me and Ricky will go fight for you.
You got it, 100%. And so for people who don't know, we could talk about a high level, like, what the system looks like. But for the exemptions, like you mentioned, that's up to $600, right? That people got same day by going down there. And then there's the potential appeal process as well, right? And that's where the big savings can come in, right? Like the example that you gave, the guy whose bill went from $1,700 to over $10,000. Clearly, something is going on there, and it's probably not correct. And so that's where you want to make sure you go and appeal. You don't pay that. Don't. I wouldn't pay it. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go and fight. But we do have resources and people that are willing to help.
Yeah, they have until the 17th of December, so we have a little time to fight. The appeal process is all messed up. That's one of the laws we want to change. Right now, where you have to appeal a year ahead of time. Well, how the hell you appeal a year before you get the bill?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense. Only the big boys, the business people, the billionaires, they know how to do it. They have to hire the fancy attorneys. Madigan and Burke used to do a lot of this business. How can the Trump Tower, Donald J. Trump's building, get a tax cut, which he did this year and last year, and then Mrs. Jones and Mr. Bozinski get hit with higher taxes in the neighborhood?
Doubling.
It's just fair.
Yeah. No,
so
100%.
We're going to fight. We want people to fight it. And there are a number of things that we want to do in the legislation. Lower the interest rate if you do fall behind. Get you on a payment plan if you do fall behind. Have a circuit breaker program where if your taxes go up more than 25%, you don't have to pay it. And we'll be talking to Governor J.B. Pritzker and other legislators about that.
Yeah. So with that said, action item for everybody. If this is something that is impacting you, or maybe if it's not impacting you, but you want to make sure that the people in your community get to keep their homes, right? Because that's the consequence of this. If people ultimately aren't able to pay, they get foreclosed on, they lose their homes. Reach out to your elected officials, call for a session for them to go ahead and vote for the legislation, like you said, the circuit breaker legislation, and also so that people can appeal the year that it's due, right? Because the fact that people have until, December 17th to pay, but they got the bills on November 17th, that's not enough time to deal with a $10,000 bill that you were expecting to be $1,700, right? That's just insane. And that's not everybody, but what we've seen from the data is that for a lot of people, especially in the low-income communities, I want to say the plurality, I would have to go back and look at some of the data again, but it's doubled. I mean, that's an insane cost to have to pay, an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 on short notice. Yeah.
And here's the sad part. The poorer the community, the higher the tax.
Right.
So somebody who has a house that might be worth $150,000, they're now saying, "Oh, that house is worth $300,000." Well, they can't sell that house for $300,000, so it's not worth $300,000. They're doubling people's bills, and in some cases, even worse than that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to put that out there, and I've said what I wanted to say about Trump and Mondani. I'm glad to have you running the show today. I'm sure your phone lines are going to light up if they're not already lit up.
We got a call right now.
I don't want to station, but I'll listen to take a call or two before I have to go.
Okay, perfect. Well, I appreciate you calling in, Dad. And we do have Debbie from Old Town called in, so we'll get to her in a moment. But real quick, you are listening to the Rickey Hendon Radio Show. You got Ricky Jr. and Ricky Sr. with you today for a little bit longer than normal. We'll have to do a full show at some point, Dad. We haven't done one of those in 5 years, so 6 years. God, time flies, right? So we'll do that at some point. Again, Debbie will get to you here in a moment, but if anybody else wants to call in and be a part of the show, 773-763-9278, 773-763-9278. Debbie, you are on the Rickey Hendon radio show. How's it going, Debbie? Welcome to the show.
Hey, hi guys. Hey, Rickey. I hope you're healthy healing to you, and just take it easy because it's really an important part. Your body's going through a lot of changes.
Right. I will.
Thank you, Debbie.
Anyway, I have a question about the tax bill. I am a renter, and I have a very close relationship with my owner, and my owner lives out of the country, and so we handle everything, for him. And the tax bill just came, and it's crazy. It's ridiculous. I live in Old Town, and I was wondering, is it possible for me as his, I don't know what you would call it, to go down to the offices and try and plead by case, not as an owner but as a renter?
They will give you an affidavit. It's called an affidavit. So you fill out the affidavit saying that you're representing the homeowner. It could be a senior citizen, or in your case, the person lives out the country. But as long as you are officially allowed to handle their business, yes, you can go down there and tell them what's going on and ask for the affidavit. Once you fill the affidavit out, then you can appeal the tax. You can do everything you need to do.
Great. That's good to know, because I wasn't sure, as not an owner, but on behalf of. So great. Thanks for all the information, you guys. It really helps people, and I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
All right.
Awesome.
Everything works out because renters' rent will go up too. People who not rent don't own the property be like, well, it's not affecting me. Yes, it will, because if your landlord's mortgage, because the taxes doubled, they're going to want to double your rent. They got to get that money from somewhere. They don't want to lose the property.
Exactly, right? So this is something that is going to probably affect everybody in the city of Chicago. Again, for some buildings, like we've seen with this, a lot of the high-rise buildings downtown, their taxes actually went down, and the individual homeowners' taxes went up. So somebody's being affected by this regardless. And like you said, if you're a renter, they're going to have to make up that cost somewhere. So this affects everyone. So again, action item wise, if you are the owner, right, you can go to City Hall, go to the third floor, go to the Cook County Assessor's office, bring in your tax bill, bring in all your documentation, and then you might be able to get up to $600 in exemptions right away. And then there's other programs that can help as well. And also, if you go to my Facebook page, Rickey Hendon Jr., I took a video of a couple other organizations that are there on that floor. So they're there on a regular basis, but there's a variety of different organizations that are doing other things that can help you as well. Like they have veterans organizations, and they can help you get low cost loans, right? They have organizations for certain parts of the city of Chicago that have grant funding that you can get that can just pay for your property taxes just with that grant funding, right? But you have to be there. You have to show up. You have to be engaged, right? That is the key when it comes to local politics. So, it's pretty crazy that people are being hit with this. We're all going to have to deal with it. I'm not looking forward to my rent going up because I live in West Loop, but I'm sure it will. Any other thoughts on that, Dad?
Well, I want people to know that on the average, the downtown properties owned by the billionaires, taxes went down 25%. 25% reductions for the business owners downtown and the big buildings downtown, and 100% increase on the poor people. And like I said, Trump and his people, the Republicans, they gave income tax breaks to billionaires by taking SNAP benefits from poor people and health benefits from the middle class. And here, unfortunately, in Democratic-controlled Cook County, because it's not just Chicago, the Democrats gave tax breaks to the billionaires downtown while raising taxes on the poor people on the west side, and the south side got it the worst. The north side still got hit with like 20% increases, but on the west side, with Garfield, 133%.
It's insane.
I could cuss, but it's the Rickey Hendon Show, Jr., so I ain't going to cuss.
No, I appreciate that, Dad. And I think I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think the feeling with a lot of the topics that we're going to cover today and just with the country as a whole right now is that you have this ruling class divide versus working class divide, right? You hear a lot of people go, it's not left versus right, it's up versus down. And I roll my eyes at that all the time, because Democrats are the ones who gave us the Affordable Care Act, that gave us Social Security, that gave us the Voting Rights Act, that gave us so many of these programs. You can go back to Lyndon B. Johnson and, food programs in schools. Those are all Democrats, right? But at the same time, there are certain parts of our society that are being controlled by Democrats who are part of the ruling class as well, that are doing things like this, that are hurting the poor people and obviously helping out their friends, right?
We have to call them out. We can't just be, I said the other day, you can't just blame Trump for this. So this is a homegrown mess. And it's Democrats control every office in Cook County. And I'm not saying that to give comfort to no Republicans, but it's just the truth. So whatever politicians screw over us, we got to fight. And that's 100%. What I intended. Guys giving me a third and a fourth chance at life. And I'm not going to waste it. And I'm not going to let him say I shouldn't have let Rickey Hendon survive. I'm going to do what I believe I'm supposed to do to help people. And it was just great Thursday when we were down there. White people, black people, Latinos, everybody was down there. Asian people,
everybody,
all happy and thanking you and me and Earl and Geraldine Byrne, all of us who came down to help out. Al Civilian, and it's just brave of us who will show their property taxes to the cameras, and so they could help their neighbors, and it was really beneficial, and I feel really, really good about it. I'm going to let you go ahead and about 4:30. I've been here almost half an hour, and you got calls coming in.
Yeah.
And I'll listen and let you just handle the show, or I'll take one more call if you want.
Okay. We don't have one right now. I was going to say, I wish you could see Henry, our in-studio engineer, just nodding with everything you're saying, because I think he gets it. Everybody can relate to this. If you want to say something, Henry, you're welcome to, but the whole process is insane.
No, it is. Like, it's insane that, like...
Have a great show.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Thanks,
see you,
man.
Ricky. No, but yeah, it's insane that people are, like, being forced to just out of nowhere pay double, and it's not even just like, I mean, this is a very specific example of it, but then, like, in my own personal life, like, past year my electricity bills doubled, like all my bills are kind of like just out of nowhere, and it's like, you budget for a certain amount and then you make that work, but like then when things kind of come out of nowhere, you're like, all right, where am I pulling from? What am I doing here?
Yeah. And I'm always reminded of the fact, I every time I go on the show, I always talk about economics, the numbers, the stats, right? That the bottom 50% of people have 6% of the wealth in this country. 6, right? And more than half of people in the country can't afford a $500 emergency, right? So if you can, right, even if you're not wealthy, like, you're doing very well compared to the average person in America. I mean, that's just a fact, right? So if you get a property bill for $2,000 more than you anticipated, you have no chance at being able to stay ahead, right? And unfortunately keep your home, which is your biggest asset. So you might lose an asset that has $100,000 worth of equity in it, over, a couple $1,000, property tax bill.
Out of nowhere, just,
Yeah. And there's a conversation to be had about taxing assets, right? Because when you talk about that ruling class, when you talk about the wealthiest people, those people aren't taking salaries.
Right.
I think I saw, like, Mark Zuckerberg's salary is like $1.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Because everything that they own is in equity. It's in houses, right? It's in boats. It's in planes, but it's in a lot of other assets as well, businesses. And so there is a conversation to be had about that. But, having those budgets filled on the property taxes of your everyday citizens is not the way to do it, when we know that they don't have the wealth.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? That's not where the actual money is. So now that 6% of the wealth owned by the bottom 50% of Americans is going to go down to 5 or 4. And there was a point within the last, I think, 15 years where it fell under 1%. I'm going to try to bring the study in next time I come in so that people can actually see, because it's one thing for me to say this, but, like, these are numbers that have come out of the Congressional Budget Office and a couple other places verified sources within the federal government. But at one point, the bottom 50% of Americans owned less than 1% of the wealth in the country, right?
That's just insane.
So,
especially because we're the wealthiest country, or one of them in the world. Like
the wealthiest country. No, we are the wealthiest country on earth, 100%. You got me started. Right. Anyway, we got some callers calling in. Thanks for calling into the show. We have Dan in Indiana. Dan, we have a lot of topics that we're going to talk about. Which one do you want to start with? There's a lot going on, but you are on the Rickey Hendon radio show with Rickey Jr. Dan, what's going on?
I want to tell you once again, I called last week. I want to tell you what a great job you're doing. And is your dad still on there?
He's dropped off now. He's resting up,
Okay.
But
I wanted to tell him. I talked to him last week, and I also went through the prostate situation 16 years ago, and I'm still here. I just wanted to tell him that keep going. God bless you, and just count your blessings. He will be fine.
Yeah.
So,
amen.
I thought I was gone years ago, and I'm still here. So, but you're doing a wonderful job, and like I told your dad last week, as well as you guys are a bright spot of my Saturday, and you're doing a great job, and the enthusiasm especially is what I need, and I really appreciate it. I do.
Dan,
we're going to get through this one way or another. So,
Dan, thank you so much for calling in. I sincerely appreciate that, and I'm glad that you're still here with us, brother, and that you took the sacrifice to go and do that surgery, because for a lot of men it is scary, especially the prostate and some of the checks and some of the things and places that I'm just going to leave it at that.
I had an absolute great doctor named Dr. Ransom, and he saved my life.
Yeah.
And I will always say that.
That's amazing, Dan. Thank you. And Rickey is listening.
Anyway, God bless you and your dad and your family, and a happy Thanksgiving to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate that. Yeah, and thanks for giving me that look, Henry, to just leave the prostate conversation there. But it is one of those things, especially with men and our health. That,
totally.
Men don't live as long as women. And I think a large reason why is because we push things down, right?
Absolutely.
We neglect things. We have, society teaches us to be strong at all times, not to show any weakness and not to talk about our problems. But man, when I tell you my therapist has been like my lifeline over these last, 6 to 7 months, as I've had a lot of change in my life, it's really hard to put into words. So talk about your issues, talk to somebody. If you can't afford a therapist, call a parent, call a friend. You'd be surprised by how many old friends will be there and show up for you. And even if you're just talking about life and not your actual issues, that can go a long way. But this is a political podcast, so we're going to talk about some of the issues here shortly. We do have Jeffrey calling in as well, and just since we're at the 30-minute mark, I just want to reset. You're listening to the Rickey Hendon radio show on WCPT AM. We are live on the radio, so if you want to be a part of the show, please call in, talk about our topics with us today. 773-763-9278. Again, 773-763-9278. We have this Trump and Mamdani summit, if you will. I want to talk about that for sure. Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning, Trump threatening to execute Democrats. I mean, there's a lot.
It's crazy.
But to Dan's point, the optimism, where does that come from? I just want to speak to that real quick because I think it is very, very easy to become, how do I want to say this, pessimistic and to lose hope with the world when you have the sitting president of the United States, threatening to execute Democrats and blocking the release of information around a child trafficking ring, right? I mean, let's be real. Like this is some of the craziest times that we've ever lived through. For me, the thing that keeps me optimistic is the fact that the country's been through a lot, but in the words of Martin Luther King Jr., the moral arc of the universe is long, but it bends towards justice, right? I volunteer a lot at the Chicago Greater Food Depository and some other places as well. And one of the things that they'll tell you is that food insecurity is in a better place now than it's ever been, right? It's very easy to look at the problems, and you look at what happened with Snap here in America, and obviously that's a travesty. But when you look at a lot of the world's issues, more people are being connected to the internet, more people are getting sustainable water, more people are having food than ever before. And so there are problems, but if you fight against those problems, then we're going to be okay. And that's what keeps me optimistic and positive, because me and my father and everybody else that I know that I'm close with, we use our voices, we vote, we donate, we volunteer, and that's how you actually build a better world, because democracy is not a spectator sport. Mm-hmm. All right. We have Jeffrey. Jeffrey, thanks for holding with us for as long as you did. You are on the Rickey Hendon radio show with Rickey Jr. Talk to us, brother. What's on your mind?
Yeah, listen, first of all, the first thing I want to say is that my family goes back to the history of this country of nearly 400 years.
Wow.
So I've been around a long time, back 1632. But the reason I'm bringing this up is, first of all, I want to give Jesse Jackson and all you out there some encouragement, because I got about 15 years ago, I don't know if you ever heard of myasthenia gravis, but it's a neuromuscular disease. And I ended up in a hospital bed, and and they told me, they said, you're going to stay in this bed the rest of your life, brother. You ain't going to get up. You ain't going to walk away. And within 3.5 months later, I walked out that door. And I had to do it myself. I mean, I was laying in that bed.
Wow.
And the thing is, I went from a bed to a wheelchair, a walker, and then finally a cane. Mm-hmm. And I did it in about 3.5 months.
Wow. And
the secret was basically when they said to me, in fact, as I ended up in a nursing home, and they said, you're here for good, brother. Forget it.
Yep.
I was so damn angry, the rage I felt, that the first thing was I had no insurance as far as, physical therapy. So so somebody gave me a couple of empty bottles of Pepsi, filled the 2-liter bottles with water, and I used them to work out.
There we go.
And
creative.
And I worked morning, noon, and night, and I climbed on my belly all the way to the bathroom and everything, because they didn't help me. I had to do it myself. And that included learning everything from to crawling to getting to the wheelchair, the walker, and then the walking stick, or the cane. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because you don't lose hope. You just get angry. You get the rage inside you.
Yeah.
And I was so enraged. I said, how could this happen to me? Mm-hmm. I don't know, maybe there's a selfish attitude. But I was so angry, I did it.
Yeah.
And when I walked out that door 3.5 months later, the people at the nursing home were looking at me, and they were saying, where the hell do you think you're going? You can't leave us. And I just looked at them and said, eat my dust. And I walked out that door.
I love that story, Jeffrey. That's amazing.
And so what I'm trying to say is to everybody, you just got to get angry. Mm-hmm. Get more rage in you than you've ever felt before in your life. And I hope that Jesse Jackson and all the rest do the same thing. Yeah. Because I don't care how old you are. If you really want it that bad, there's a very good chance you'll get it. Yeah. So just never give up. So I just thought I'd mention that. And I hope your dad gets better. And let him get that angry, too. Whatever's wrong with him. He just got to get furious, that's all.
Well, hey, Jeffrey, if you know my father, you know that they call him Rickey Hollywood Hendon, because he's shown his anger. He's shown his emotion for decades in this city, in this county. So I thank you for that story. I appreciate it. And, if you're listening and you have a concern about the property taxes, you have a concern about the way that our federal government is being run, use your voice. Call some senators. Go to the offices. Go rally, protest. I was at 1930 Beach Street protesting the horrible ICE facility for a long time, and they've changed a lot of those conditions, right? It's not taken down, it's not shut down, but it's improved significantly. So I like that. Yeah, use your energy however you can, and get out of bed. Let's just start with this. I know.
Yeah.
I feel like now I'm doing a therapy show now for everybody. I'm ready to talk about all these topics and all the different things, but like, you know, sometimes you do need just that reminder that like if you're listening right now, the next day, you know, get out of bed. Get out of bed and move your body. I struggled with that. Yesterday was just one of those days for me where I just, you know, it was bad. It was bad. But the more you move your body, the better you're going to feel. And the more active and engaged you are with our politics, even if it's just sharing a post, you know what I mean, with the people that you follow so they can be informed about some of the things that are going on, that makes a difference, right? So anyway, we got Mike in Los Angeles, good old L.A., love L.A. Well, let me just say this. I have a love-hate relationship with L.A. There's certain parts of L.A. I like and certain parts that I struggle with. But my sister lives out there, so we're always going to root for them. And I do, you know, mess with the Lakers. You know, good old LeBron still chugging along. Testament to working hard and taking care of your body. He's a perfect example of that.
Honestly, yeah.
I saw this. This is pretty funny. This is getting way off topic at this point, but here I'm gonna pull this up because this is the show where we're talking about motivation more than politics today. But I'm happy to do it. And Mike, I'll get to you in a moment. But this is just a crazy stat. So LeBron has been in the league so long that the last time he scored under 10 points in a regular season game, the iPhone wasn't released yet, and George Bush was president.
That's hilarious. That's
not when he was drafted, but the last time he scored under 10 points, George Bush was president.
That's
yeah. Anyway, a little off topic, but Mike from Los Angeles, you're on the Rickey Hendon radio show. What's going on, brother?
Rickey Hendon. I called in. I thought it was a Viewpoint, so it was on my screen, but I didn't. I called for you guys from Alaska, like, I don't know, 6-7 years ago when Rickey Hendon Sr. was on.
Yeah.
I hope he's doing okay. Was he sick or something? I didn't. Your pensioners are doing a great job.
Yeah.
Let me get to my point, though. You know, once again, it's 40 years now of Reaganism. You know, we lost our factory jobs. Real estate keeps going up, which is good if you own a home. But we don't have factory jobs like we used to that paid $35 an hour with full benefits. They're overseas. The wealthy have been undertaxed. That happened during the Reagan era. I grew up during the Reagan era. I think I'm your father's age. I'm 66 now. Yeah. I grew up during the Reagan depression or recession, and then joined the military. I was in the Army for 7 years. So that's my point. But I think we're turning the tide. I mean, with Marjorie Taylor Greene resigning, and I've gone to all these protests for the No Kings rallies and everything, and we went in the big Democratic seats. The turn is tide, and so, you know, like you said, you got to get up and you got to stay active. This is our government. Yeah. If you don't want to get involved, you know, that's on you. You know, it's. I meet a lot of people all the time and say they think that government is separate from who we are. It's not. It's we the people. It's in the first. It's in our founding document. Oh yeah. And you know, my brother Martin Luther King was one of my heroes, and you know, he worked with President Johnson to get the voting rights. I can't think of the right bill that he did for President Johnson.
The Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act, two separate pieces of legislation. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we're on. Here's what I tell everybody in my conversation here: the President of the United States gets a full set of benefits. He's working for us. He's our employee. He gets housing, education, travel. What should we all be getting? We should all be getting Section 8 vouchers at least, or having part of our mortgage taken care of. The President of the United States works for us, and he's getting a full set of benefits. We should be all getting that. That's one of the reasons I joined the military. Look, I'm a patriot. I always wanted to be an Army vet, but soldiering with benefits, I'm interested. Soldiering without benefits, I'm not interested. Yeah. My ex-wife was Air Force physician. She just joined for the benefits. Wow. Yeah. So, you know, let's stay active. I see the tide turning, and Rickey Hendon, I didn't even know I was calling into the Rickey Hendon show. Your father is great. You're doing a great job pinch hitting for him. Last thing real quick, I had prostate problems in my early 20s, and I worked through it with nerves. Wow. Boy, it's a pain, and I got rid of it finally. So, yeah, I mean, get your prostate checked and, you know, keep up with your checks and your
well, Mike, number one, I always like to say thank you for your service. Because I know that
well,
there's
I joined for the benefits, but no, you're welcome. But once again, real quick, the biggest social program in the United States is the military-industrial complex. I mean, a lot of my soldiers, they just joined to get out of a bad situation, to get benefits. So that's half the reason I joined, or more than half the reason I joined.
Yeah.
But, again, everybody should be – I got a military Section 8 voucher. Everybody should be getting a voucher.
Yeah.
My rent's $300 right now a month about. Why isn't everybody else getting it? Well, the Democrats want to. I voted for Jimmy Carter in 1980, and then Reagan got in, and we went in the wrong direction. We lost our factory jobs. We lost our unions.
Trickle-down economics,
Too many tax breaks to the rich. He didn't end the Cold War, by the way. Mikhail Gorbachev ended the Cold War. It was a regime change in the Soviet Union. So, I don't know. We're keep up the work. Stay active.
Thank you.
Have that great attitude. You've got that. Ricky, your father's got that soul.
Amen,
You're on the
man.
1 yard line and going to get to heaven. My father used to joke around. My father was a Democrat.
Yeah, it's a lot of prayer. It's a lot of prayer. It's a lot of work, Mike.
Government can be fun. It's our government. Make it look at it as a fun thing to do.
And Mike, you were out there for the No Kings protests, right? That was a fun, positive environment, right?
Yeah.
People were in great spirits, standing up for something and standing up for a lot of things. And there were a bunch of different signs, advocating for a bunch of different things. But when we're engaged,
I went to my town halls and I give to the Democratic Party everybody give $10 to the DNC every month. Obama was on the internet saying if everybody gave $1 to the DNC, we wouldn't have any problems, financial problems.
That's interesting.
DNC isn't perfect, and, I'm in the Progressive Democrats of America, by the way. We have a Zoom call tomorrow. Anybody can join. I learned about it through WCPT. It's called Progressive Democrats of America.
Okay.
And we have a Zoom call tomorrow I think it's 2 o'clock Pacific.
Yeah.
Just go to the website, Progressive Democrats of America.
I love that. And I listed off. Go ahead, Mike.
Martin Luther King rocks, and Muhammad Ali was one of my parents' heroes. My parents were Democrats. My father was an Army vet.
Right.
And,
Mike,
my father died from Parkinson's, and so did Muhammad Ali. They both stood up against the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Thank you.
Kind of
Mike,
ranting,
I appreciate you calling in.
Man.
But thank you, brother.
Stay
I appreciate
active. Everybody get out there. Politics is not a spectator sport. Tag, you're it, just like Tom Hartman says.
Tag, you're it. It's your turn. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, there's a lot there, but thank you. And man, I don't even know what I want to respond to first. He brought up Reagan. That'll get you going.
Oh yeah.
I'll just say quickly here. I think he hit it right on the head. I mean, if you look at the share of wealth distribution in America, it is very clear that when Reagan got into power and he passed all of his laws, essentially dropping the highest tax rates down from the 80s and 90s down to what they are today, roughly speaking. That really changed everything, right? And that's why for a lot of people, I think it's important to think about not just taxing the rich, but also we need a wealth tax. I'm not sure if I specifically said that on the show before, but if you just fix things going forward, that doesn't address what we've had in the past,
right.
Okay? We've had decades of people taking advantage of these low tax laws that has led to all of the financial problems that we have in America today, even though we have more money than every other country, right? Like the fact that we don't have universal health care and universal education, at least when pretty much all of the major developed nations do, is just a testament to the Ronald Reagan era and us not utilizing our tax dollars efficiently, okay? So a lot of thoughts on that, but one form of a wealth tax is an estate tax, right? So you tax these people when they die. We used to have that, but then the Trump administration got rid of that, right? For a certain amount of people or a certain income bracket. I forget exactly how it works, but the point being is that we need to have some type of way that we redistribute the wealth in this country, right? So we can talk more about that, but for me, if I'm going to be advocating for the DNC, if I'm going to be advocating for a platform like or organization like he was just talking about, for me, I need to see universal health care. I need to see universal education. I need to see free school lunch and breakfast for every child in America, no matter what the circumstances are. I need to see those three things, and there's a couple others as well. But if we could just get those three passed, which is 100% possible, by the way. If you look at the math and you look at the numbers, that's what I need to see. So I gave us some topics at the beginning of the show that we have not really dove too deep into. First and foremost, I want to talk about Trump and Zoran Mamdani. Okay? 45-minute mark, you're listening to the Rickey Hendon radio show on WCPT 820 AM. Okay, Trump and Mamdani. Gotta get a deep breath here because this is really frustrating to me. I understand Mamdani's position in meeting with Trump. Obviously, he's in office now. It's different from when you're a candidate to when you're the person who actually has to do the work. And he's going to have to work with Trump, and Trump is going to have to work with Mamdani, right? That is a fact, right? People don't like that, but that is a fact. So I understand it from his perspective. I hate the timing of it because it gave Trump cover from the biggest scandal potentially in American history, right? Which is the Jeffrey Epstein scandal. Okay. Let's live in the world of facts when it comes to this. Okay. The fact is, we know from the Trump administration that over 1,000 children were trafficked as a part of this operation with Jeffrey Epstein, who is now deceased, and Ghislaine Maxwell, who is alive, right? The Trump administration came out earlier this year and they said the case was closed. No one else was involved, right? I'm pretty sure Cash and Bomdi said that under oath, right, when they testified in front of Congress. And yet, obviously, we know that that's not true because we just got this big dump of files from the Epstein estate, which is different from the Epstein files. Okay. I hate that they had this meeting on a Friday when that was the lead story for the week, and now it's not. Okay. Because one thing that we have learned from the Trump administration is that deflecting is their number one skill. Flood the zone, as Steve Bannon called it. Flood the zone. And so that is the topic of conversation right now in a lot of the left-wing circles that I'm seeing. If we also recall, earlier in the day, Friday or late Thursday, Trump went on Truth Social and essentially called a group of veterans who were literally saying for the military to remember their oath to the Constitution and to remember the fact that you can deny illegal orders. Trump called for those people to be executed. Okay? Trump called for those people to be executed on his public platform on Truth Social. I think it's very easy in the world of 2025 to get lost in the news cycle. And maybe this was something that you saw on your phone and then you scrolled to the next thing, right? Because that's the way that our brains are wired now. We need to consume more long form content like this. So tune into the Rickey Hendon radio show where we talk about these things for, about an hour, because it helps things resonate and process more in our brains. The president of the United States called for Democratic lawmakers to be executed. I said it 3 times now. I'll say it again. The president of the United States called for Democratic lawmakers to be executed. And I'm going to pause and I'm going to say it one more time because this is important. This is not a small news story. This is something that we can't let be shielded by the fact that Trump was looking at Zoran Mamdani like he was a snack. Right? The president of the United States called for Democratic lawmakers to be executed. The president of the United States has openly blocked the Epstein files from being released. The president of the United States called Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was one of his biggest supporters, a traitor for fighting for the release of these files. Go back in time with me real quick. Go back to Joe Biden's last State of the Union. Okay? If you can actually visualize that, good for you. There are most people who pay attention to politics every day can't do that. But I know there's one image from this that you can remember. Do you remember, Henry, when Biden was walking down the aisle and he saw Marjorie Taylor Greene from a distance, but then she walked up close to him and she was covered head to toe in bright red MAGA gear. And he looked at her and he was like, oh, and he acted like he saw a ghost, right? That wasn't that long ago. She was Trump's biggest supporter, but God forbid she asked for the release of the other people who were involved in a child trafficking ring. That is a line that nobody can cross in the eyes of Donald Trump. So we're living in an insane time right now, and it's a lot. And again, the name of their strategy is called the flood zone strategy, but we can't lose sight of the fact that these things are happening just because there's a couple goofy moments between a mayor and the sitting president of the United States, the most powerful man in the world. Okay? So those are my thoughts on Trump and Mom Donnie. Basically, it doesn't effing matter. What matters is what I just said, which is the fact that the president of the United States is called for the execution of Democratic lawmakers, and the fact that he himself has done pretty much everything he can to keep these Epstein files from being released. That's what matters. Don't lose sight of it. Okay? Talk about it. Thanksgiving's coming up. Okay? When you talk to your family on Thanksgiving and these topics inevitably come up, don't run from them if there's somebody who still supports him. These conversations are working. Fox News released their poll with Donald Trump's poll numbers, and he was at a 41% approval rating. That is the lowest approval rating he has ever had in a Fox News poll. And just to give you some perspective, that is the same approval rating Joe Biden had in 2022 when we had 10% inflation coming off of COVID. Trump is doing terrible right now, but we need more people to be informed about what's going on. And the conversation that I always have with people that always breaks through with them and leaves them with nothing to say, which in my mind is them processing, is asking them, why did they think Trump had Ghislaine Maxwell moved to a low security prison? Why would you do something like that? Somebody that's serving 20 years in prison for unspeakable crimes. And yes, it's not 100% confirmed that he did it. It has to be somebody very high up in the Justice Department. But when asked about it twice on camera, he floated the idea of potentially pardoning her. He was like, "Oh, I haven't really thought about it. I don't know, blah, blah, blah." And the second time they asked him about it on camera, which you can look up, by the way, this was right after the Supreme Court rejected her appeals. So the Supreme Court looked at this themselves and they said, "We are not going to hear the appeal for this. You are one of the worst offenders in this country. We're not going to hear this." And when asked about it, the president of the United States said, "Well, I might have to look into that." What are we doing, people? This is not normal. We cannot let this be normal. We cannot afford to let this be normal. And the only way it becomes normal is if people are silent. So talk about it. Okay. What else do we have here? Okay, another story that kind of got lost in the weeds here is this Department of Education, I guess they would say professional degree kind of certification story. Okay, so essentially what happened is, for those who aren't familiar, the Department of Education came out and they said that certain programs, mostly in the healthcare space, the most notable was nursing, but there are other things like speech path pathologist and mostly female-dominated fields in the medical industry, were no longer considered professional degrees. So what this did and what this does moving forward for anybody who is in college now, I believe, or anybody that's going to college, is that if they go and they try to get student loans to go to be a nurse, for example, they're going to be limited to the amount of student loans they can get. Don't quote me on this because I don't have the exact numbers. When I do have the numbers, I will give them to you directly, but I think it's about, they can get up to $25,000 in federal loans now, and then the rest they have to go to private loans, which a lot of people just aren't going to be able to get. So what this is going to do, this is going to dramatically, within a year or two, decrease the amount of students going to get these medical program degrees in the United States. And I just remember one of the other degrees was a physician assistant, right? So not a nurse, not a doctor, but kind of somewhere in between, right? Anybody that's been a part of the medical, we've all been a part of the medical system in America at some point. You know what I mean? Whether you were born, whether you're, 7 years old like my father, or, like everybody knows that we have a shortage of nurses, doctors, physicians assistants, et cetera, within our country. And so this is just going to make the entire medical system significantly worse, because those people are the actual backbones of the doctor's office. If you go to the doctor, if you go to the hospital, you might see your doctor a couple times a day, but your nurse is going to come in and check on you, however many times, right? And so this is all part of the 2020, Project 2020 strategy to cripple the healthcare system and to make people essentially worse off financially and have worse health outcomes. There's no other way to put it. There's no reason why you wouldn't, especially because these are people who, when they get their degrees, they actually get jobs at a high attainment level and they pay back their loans at a high level. So it doesn't make any sense financially, it doesn't make any sense economically, and it just begs the question once again, who are these guys working for? Because I know who's celebrating today, Henry.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Who's that?
The people who get these private loans. The private loan companies, where they can charge you a 10% interest rate. They're loving this because they're going to make money. They're going to make a ton of money off of the people who can go, and the people who can't go, they weren't going to get money from those people anyway. So now they don't care.
Yeah.
It's insane, people. Don't become normal to the things that we're seeing in this administration. I know it might be something you see quick on your phone and you scroll to the next thing, or maybe you do watch the news and then they go to a freaking Arby's commercial. I don't know. I picked on them because they're a huge right-wing donor.
Oh, yeah.
Arby's is, yeah.
Good to know.
But, we cannot become numb to a lot of what's happening here. So take a deep breath, relax, stay engaged. And Henry, any other topics? We're kind of at the back end of the show here. We got a couple minutes here, so I guess I could have somebody else call in. Anything top of mind for you, or anything that's been hot here with the station the last couple days or hours?
Oh man, well, like you said, it's so hard to keep track of everything because the news moves so fast at this point. Like the fact that you were talking about how the State of the Union, how hard that could be to imagine. I was trying to imagine in my head. I'm like, oh wait, yeah, that's right. That it feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Because every day it's a new thing. It's a new thing. It's a new thing.
Yeah.
And again, it's their strategy. It's and it works unfortunately very well for them. But it just can't be. It can't be the case that we forget that all these norms are being broken. No one cares because everything happens just back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
How can you pay attention to everything with full conviction like you could with back in the day, back when we had it good during the Biden years, when it's we have a news cycle, it happens, and thankfully when he first got elected, I was so happy because I'm like, okay, cool, politics is going to be quote unquote boring again.
Yeah.
Which I not to be not that it should be boring, but just because it's not going to be this insane
on fire
yes,
every single day.
Every day. Multiple times a day too sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a great point, because obviously there were issues under the Biden administration, right? But one thing that I was just thinking about today is man, every time Trump's president, we're arguing every day.
Yes.
Right? Even the people who are supporters of his, they're on Facebook arguing with people in comment sections. They're butting heads with people at grocery stores. You know what I mean? There's just a level of chaos, which is by design, by the way, right? Everything that is done with them and their administration is very, very tactical. Trump is not a planner, but he is a tactician.
Yes.
He knows what he's doing.
Absolutely.
And so it's unfortunate that we're here, but we live in the world of optimism, Henry.
Yes, we do. Yes, we
do.
do.
And the show is coming to an end. And so we're going to leave on an optimistic, how should I say? Outro, I guess is probably the best word to say. Yeah. Optimistic outro. The world is a complicated place, and there's a lot that is thrown at us. But we talked about a lot of topics today. Share those topics. Share those news stories. Thanksgiving is coming up. Have conversations with your family about a lot of these things so they can understand what's happening. Democracy is not a spectator sport, but make sure that you're engaged, because if you are engaged, there's one thing that we've seen from America is that we can pull ourselves out of these situations, but we just have to make sure that we know what's going on, we talk about it, and that we get active. So that's it. This has been the Rickey Hendon Radio Show. You had Rickey Sr., you had Rickey Jr. with you today. You had quite a few callers today. Thank you for tuning in. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you guys later.
The preceding program, The Rickey Hendon Show, is provided by Rickey Hendon, and to the extent applicable,